Alright everybody, welcome back to another episode of Spectrum Talks, where it's just guys in a sound booth talking about different things. Today with me I've got David, Brad, Riley, Matt, and Bobby, co-hosting here with Dieter. Today we're going to be chatting about some things. Let's find out.
What do we want to talk about?
Well, Reddit memes was suggested.
What was
Reddit memes?
Yeah, but how are we going to frame that around autism?
Agreed.
I do know one meme that has something to do with autism, but it's very dark.
Probably we shouldn't have it on this podcast then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has something to do with a deer.
Let's not.
Yeah.
How about we talk about different ways of learning?
I like that.
What are good ways to, you know?
To learn?
Yeah, I mean, how do you like to learn? Do you like to just delve in and watch a bunch of videos and you get your information that way, or do you want somebody sitting over your shoulder telling you how it's going to be, or...
It entirely depends on what we're trying to learn.
Okay, that's fair.
If it's something that you can just watch a video for and then you know everything, all right.
Okay.
But some things might require just asking a questions or having something pointed out to you.
Right, I agree.
My one constant is that I have to be tactile.
Right.
So like, even if I'm, excuse me,
Tired
even if I'm
much?
watching, I'm actually not. I don't know why I'm yawning. Even if I'm like watching a tutorial on like how to solve a puzzle in a game or like how to troubleshoot something on my computer, I need to be at my computer or playing the game. Like if I had to fix something on my computer tonight, I couldn't watch the tutorial right now. I have to be able to be doing it as it happens, because nothing sticks in my brain if I'm not practicing it hands-on.
That's fair. I'm a combination of all that too. I like going to YouTube and finding out the information. Press pause, try it. Press pause, try it. Press pause, try it.
You are the YouTube leader.
So, do you guys, Dave? How do you like to learn?
As effectively as I can. I try to learn quickly. Not everybody learns at the same speed.
No, not at all.
And I don't think everybody can be taught the same way.
I agree. I totally agree. I think repetition sometimes is a good, where you just do the same thing over and over and over till you have it, right?
I would agree.
And don't expect people to get it the first time.
Exactly.
Speaking to Dieter's point, video editing, at least for me, can be completely repetitive, almost to the point where if you have to rebuild a video, by the last time you rebuild it, you can almost from memory you can spot where of course if you have waveforms enabled, but you can almost spot where someone claps or where the waveforms spike to find where you need to sync.
And I find that's a good way to learn too, is build something, whatever your project is, and then just trash it and start right back over. Because the second time's always going to be better, quicker. You're gonna remember something that you did and go, this is a better way of doing it.
A real world example of that yesterday and Monday. You remember when I was showing you Scott's intro? So I kept showing it to Tom over the course of the day yesterday, over and over and over, and like it just kept like. I'd finish it, and like you said, I'd be like, I know this isn't good enough yet. Start it over, and now I have a product that I've done it like 5 times, and I'm so happy with it. Everything is just meshed and wrapped and melded, and it sounds really good.
Yeah, and I think that, if time...
But it didn't sound that way the first time.
Right.
The first
and
time
if
was
it's a client
literally...
job, you don't always have the luxury of doing
Right.
that. But otherwise, if you do, then, like songwriting, I'll start on a lick, and I literally will just put the lick on loop, listen to it for 8-10 hours straight, and if I'm still liking it, then I kind of know the loop's going to work. Then I build off it, after an hour if I'm tired of it, or I just, lose interest, then I know that's probably not the loop to to have for that moment, you know.
Right.
Maybe I come back the next day and try it again. So, Matt, you're being quiet today.
Well,
Which is honestly a little ironic, because you're so.
I'm so talkative. Is that
Yeah.
what
Yes.
you're
Yes.
trying to say? Yeah, sometimes I can be. But, besides the point, there's many ways you could approach. Like for me, I'm going to reply to your point about video editing. Yeah, it can be repetitive, but I look at it this way. You can approach it many different ways. You can, let's say, you could redo the intro. You could do it a different way than the last time. You could change the music. There's many approaches to it, which I find interesting. See, I don't think doing it one way every time. I mean, yeah, if you have a method, as a person who loves structure, I mean, yeah. But sometimes I like to think outside of the box. Sometimes I like to, if the first way doesn't work, and there's some problems with this, I approach it a different way, I until it just looks great, So that's sort of my take on looking into video editing is there's many different ways you can rebuild a video. Imagination. Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, well, kind of going back to my point of rebuilding, I've rebuilt an episode of No Edits so much that I've literally there have been times where I literally will take a couple days break because my head's spinning from hearing the exact same thing every single time. But I now have a strategy to combat that.
So for our listeners who don't know what No Edits is,
It's
here on the Avenue on Fridays, we all get together as a group and we basically do a video version of what we're doing right now, where we just throw out a topic and all the guys sitting around and we just talk about whatever and we videotape it. So
And Dieter is the disembodied voice of this podcast.
And then the guys all sit down and they get to touch it and edit it and figure out how to make it work. So
well, and Alex now too, Matt.
Yeah.
So
All right, now I know what I'm saying.
okay, what do you want to say,
Yeah.
Brad?
Yeah, so one way so for learning, I had a habit of just simply listening and just listening, then taking notes.
Okay.
But then eventually it would just like leave my mind soon after that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm trying to reduce. I just need to take much more notes more often than just listening.
Okay, so just listening doesn't work necessarily sometimes.
Right. Yeah. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Note writing is, and it doesn't have to be detailed notes. You can make your version of notes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just do a couple words, and that reminds me of what the topic was or whatever.
Yeah.
And you gotta get practice at that, because early on I'd write a couple words and then I'd go back and look and be like, I have
What
no
is
idea
this?
what this is about. So, but over time you kind of grow and figure it out. But yeah, note taking is great.
Yep.
Do y'all ever get overwhelmed when you can't get something? When something just doesn't register?
I don't get overwhelmed, but I get frustrated.
Frustrated? Okay.
Like,
suggestions on what to do if
no, like,
someone comes to a standpoint?
yeah, I mean, so there's like daily now, because I'm starting to get a lot of projects on my plate at once. So daily, me and Riley just walk the block. It takes about 10 minutes, and it's just a way to clear our heads, and it gets me back focused in on, instead of just, getting more and more frustrated. I just, take a 10-minute walk outside. It's nice. Cool. So removing yourself from the problem, avoid negative self-talk. I used to be like, everyone's their worst critic, but like there's a point where it becomes it's not motivational anymore. You know, it's not like, oh, you messed up, but try harder. You can do it. Like, you know, it gets to the point where you're just like telling yourself like,
Can't do this ever. It's
yeah, I'm never
not
going to be able to
possible,
do
gonna
this.
fail.
I hate this. I'm not good. Like, none of that's true. So just because you aren't getting it right now doesn't mean you aren't going to get it. And so keep that in your head and try to stay positive, because that's always
road
going to
will
make
be
the
paved with
experience
failure.
better.
But it will lead to success.
And I think one thing to do is, especially if you start feeling like you have a larger plate with more stuff on it, is don't assume that, let's just make it a list at that point. That list isn't static.
Nope.
It's ever changing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody can walk in and say, hey, I need this real quick, and they're 20 down on the list. You move them to number 1, you knock out whatever little piece they need. If that whole project doesn't need to be done immediately, go back to what you were doing. You know, and you got to be able to. That's part of the. You know, at least for me, I've been successful because I'm good at that. You know, it's like you can give me 20 things and I can bounce around all day long, and I'm still getting stuff done on them. But you know, the minute something's not necessary, I move the next something has more priority up, and I jump right back on it. You know, and then there's times when you just have to say, hey, give me 10 more minutes. I got to finish this thing. So, you know, so make your list, but know that your list is always going to be moving around.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's smart. And you'll have stuff on your list that has to be done today. So you prioritize that and make sure, you know, whatever it takes, get those done. Then you got stuff that doesn't matter really much today, but it's going to matter this week. So that's probably next because, you know, I've got a job right now I'm a little behind on because I just keep having other things jump in front of it. But it kind of needs to get done, so I'm slowly at the point where it's like, okay, it's moving more to the critical, we just got to knock this thing out. And then sometimes that just means, you know, you don't do it at work. You go home and, you know, you have dinner and then you jump on your work till it gets done. You don't worry about sleep, you don't worry about anything, you just do it, and that's just part of it. Best, we try not to do that, but sometimes you have to.
I was going to say, like, if you have to, you have to, but
Yeah.
I think part of maintaining, at least for me, maintaining a healthy, positive, correct attitude at work is that unless I absolutely need to, I keep work and home separate. So
Right.
that, you know, even if I had a really tough day at work, you know, I walk out the door and done worrying about it until the next day.
Right.
Unless the project calls for, like, needs to be done by 8 tomorrow, so
Right.
I'm working on it all night tonight.
Right. Yeah, I'm not wired that way. I've been working for myself, so I
That's
enjoy
fair.
work. So
Well, and I
they-
think it's different if you're your own boss,
Yeah,
too. It's
yeah.
like, it's almost fun, you know?
Yeah,
So.
I like, you know, I've had a couple things I live by, but one successful person told me work a half day every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I firmly live by that. I work a minimum of 12 hours a day,
Right.
7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working for myself for 20 years in April, so
Right.
something's working, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, you know, sometimes I sit back and go, man, there's a lot of friends that I know go on vacation a lot, and it's a trade-off, but I enjoy what I do.
Right.
Because I'm a creative person, so I'm feeding that creativity. So that, you know, that keeps me happy. And then when I talk to those people, they're like, man, I'm not super happy. You know, vacation was okay, and I hate my job, and, you know, so at the end of the day, I go, well, maybe I don't need to be the guy that goes on 5 vacations a year,
Right.
you know. Plus, I work it out where my work travels, so
Right.
you get the benefit of that. But my point is, you know, for me, I like just working.
Sure.
You know, I don't need that. And I'm older. You know.
Well, and
When
I
was
would say,
younger,
like,
didn't need my
video,
playtime for-
the stuff you're doing is your passion, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I could mix a live gig,
Right.
like, all day. Like, I would not get tired of that. You
I get
could wake
that.
me up at 6, put me on a board in front of a band, and I'd be there until midnight.
Right.
And I wouldn't care. So I think at that point, like, once you find your passion and you're able to do it, it's not even work anymore, in my
Exactly.
opinion. So,
I agree with that 1,000%.
yeah.
So what do we do to find our passions? Changing topics a little bit.
Well, you know, my passion has always been to tell stories, create videos that they're not like for me, like, they're more of like to help. Like, I don't know. Can I talk about the new 2 episodes?
You can talk whatever you want to talk about.
Well, like the Matt Show. I'm gonna use that as an example.
Well, explain to the audience.
The Matt Show was a show that had 2 seasons, and it ran the last episode of season 2 was last year, and it was essentially, it had a good run.
So it's a YouTube channel where you had to.
Well, it wasn't a YouTube channel.
Well, you made content and you put it up, and it's where you talked and interviewed people, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
and I wanted people to get out of that. They walked away a lot smarter, you know.
Okay.
And I liked it because I got to ask questions to I guess figure out how things work. To figure out like, oh well, you know, this is how said a drone works, or you know, this is how a camera works, or my point is, I guess, is the Matt Show was sort of like my introduction to telling stories and educating people.
Okay.
But my real passion really is to make people like, you know, wow, I didn't know this was an actual thing, or so forth.
So now you got your own GoPro and you got your own computer, so there's no excuses.
No, there isn't.
Right.
I'm working on something.
Cool.
Just waiting on my father.
Cool.
How'd you find your passion, David?
I just find that it gradually develops. I just think, you know, I've got to have a passion in something, and as it grows, I attempt to pursue it. My passion is in graphic design and such. Graphic design, desktop publishing, running. Just things that, you know, really appealed my taste.
How did you find graphic design? How did you know that was your passion?
I've always liked creating art, and I went to community college to help strengthen what I'm looking for in that passion, and it's made me look at graphic designing in a different way than I thought. And then later on, I worked for a newspaper for the last 23 years, and it's really molded my mind into a style, a particular style. And I've stuck with that style for so many years. And when I started working here, you know, it's like getting my mind or my brain to mold into this structure. You know, I'm starting to see things that I've never seen before, as far as type, how typography works, its function, choosing the right font. It's just, you know, the best way to know how to put it is, imagine you're on a ranch, and you're trying to bend a stick of metal, a metal stick or like a spike, and you have to get it so hot to where you can almost bend it. And that's kind of the way with me. It's like I'm trying to mold my brain into this
New style,
this conformation.
Cool.
Another thing I sort of forgot to mention is also I want to make stuff that answers questions that nobody thinks to ask, you know. And I think it's important to ask these questions so people know about this and are aware of it. that's another thing I wanted to solve.
Bobby, what are your passions? I think computer stuff, right?
I like working with computers, repairing them. When I'm asked to work on something for to help people out with a computer, I like to do so.
Would you say it's your passion?
I guess so, yes.
Cool. Riley, you got a passion?
Oh, yes, I do.
Do you?
Sports.
Exactly.
Do you like
Sports.
Sports. That's cool.
In fact, shameless plug, I don't know when it's going to get uploaded, but please go watch Rowdy Riley's sports review. It's basically where I go interview. Nice touch.
Hi, poster.
It's basically where I go interview people in the sports departments about different topics. Like my first episode was a local Nashville rivalry
Cool.
called Battle of the Boulevard. And
Brad, you got passion?
Yeah, I was working on how I wanted to phrase it while everyone else was going.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I'm ready now.
Cool.
Alright, so I love video work too, and editing.
Okay.
Yep, and I've had an interest in that since high school.
Cool.
Yep, so yeah, I took a production class back then. Then after I graduated high school, I think production was, I always thought after I graduated, I thought video production became something I think I could totally do.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm glad to have a job like that. And I'm also working on my own show.
Nice.
Yep, it's called On My Own.
Yep.
Yep, and it's going to be basically about how I live myself, living on my own. And
Nice.
Yep, and even we're likely supposed to be shooting at my duplex, right? Because you even brought up recently it would be somewhere else.
Yeah, we'll figure out where we shoot. We want a good set. We can make a nice set.
Yeah, that was a good point.
Yeah.
My
Because visually, I
show
want it
is
to look really good.
on hold right now.
Nobody's on hold. It's just work in progress.
yeah.
So,
No, I mean it as I got other stuff to focus on right now.
Dave, you want to try video editing? You think you'd have an interest in that?
Sure.
You think you want to see what that's about?
Sure.
Maybe
Well-
Brad could show you a little bit about it.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I don't want anyone to feel forced. And so the answer, sure, for me is what I say when I don't want to do something, but I
Right.
don't want other people to know that I
Right.
don't want to do it. So if you don't have an interest in that, just say so.
Okay.
But if you do want to try it,
Sure.
we'll totally hook you up.
Okay.
It's always worth trying something.
Mm-hmm.
I've done
Yeah.
a little bit of editing before.
Trying new food
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I forget the name of that software that we used. It wasn't
DaVinci?
Adobe.
Da Vinci.
No.
Logic,
Might have been
Pro
Logic.
Tools.
Might have been. I can't really recall, but anyway, I've done a little bit of video editing before.
Okay. Well, I think it's getting warm in here, and I think we're winding down on energy, so let's...
Agreed.
Oh, I'm fine.
Riley, you want to take us out?
This has been Spectrum Talks. See y'all next episode.